Hello, Marvelites. I'm Josh Soleil, and this is Marvel Live. Today, we're celebrating the release of Kitty Pryde and Lockheed in Marvel Strike Force. Marvel Strike Force is a game where you can collect your favorite Marvel characters across the multiverse and battle to save Earth. And today, we're getting into it, and I cannot wait. You can download Marvel Strike Force right now for free on iOS and Android. In this show, we'll meet and chat with two creators that help bring Kitty Pryde and Lockheed into Marvel Strike Force. Then we'll meet a cosplay team who brought the game's cosplay into real-life form. But first, let's see some Kitty Pryde and Lockheed gameplay. Right here, you see Shadow Cat Strike. At level 1, it attacks the primary target for 60% damage. Then Lockheed comes in as the next attack for the Lockheed Blast. Attacks all enemies for 80% damage. Mischievous Sprite, famous attack from Kitty Pryde, going through floors. Attacks the primary target for 100% damage. It cannot be blocked, and it is unavoidable. There she goes again. I absolutely love that because it's Kitty Pryde's famous move, phasing through walls and floors. And here we go. We're going to welcome some game developers who helped create Kitty Pryde and Lockheed into Marvel Strike Force. Please welcome Marissa Huckaluck, the Marvel Strike Force 3D animator, and Chris Aguirre Samaniego, Marvel Strike Force technical artist. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's start with you, Marissa. What do you do at Marvel Strike Force, and how long have you worked for Marvel Strike Force?
Well, I am the 3D animator and had the privilege of working on Kitty Pryde and Lockheed, and currently been there for over 2 years. It's been an absolute blast and so many adventures along the way.
I love that. I love that. Chris, same question to you.
Hey, technical artist over on Marvel Strike Force. Probably been here about a year and a half, a little less than 2 years.
Yes, I love to see that. Love to hear that. Now, Chris, take us through the process of creating these characters from the composite sketches all the way to seeing them in game.
Yeah, so once the concept artist has the image, we all get together in a room. The whole team gets together, and we all just start shooting ideas at each other about what we think would do the character the most justice from a comic book perspective. How do we bring this character to life and do it? Just try to do it justice for everyone, really, is what we try.
Marissa, now coming on your end, what is the process like for your side?
For my side, it's once everything has been put together and we have like a skeleton inside the character, I make sure that that is all fully functional, and now I am a puppeteer able to move the character to the best that I can and start making them move to how we would take our reference from comics and try our best to bring the character to how we would interpret it into the game and into Marvel Strike Force. And it's honestly all trial and error, but it's a lot of fun and interesting challenges along the way.
Now, you mentioned comics. Now, Marvel Comics has such a rich history. Where do you start with pulling references from that to put into your work?
Honestly, just everywhere that I can. We look up all of the history of a character, and in this case it would be Kitty Pryde and Lockheed, and so we try to see like how did she get her start in the universe, and like where did her powers grow, and how did she become what she is, and all her different variants, and it's that just kind of go from there.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, same question to you. With all of Marvel Comics' rich history, where do you start?
Always the comics for sure is where I start, and then I start to look at actual artist renditions from like actual fans and seeing what they think their interpretations of their powers are and their abilities, and we start to take that into consideration as well. But obviously, staying true to the comic book form.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Marissa, you worked primarily on Kitty's animations, and we have videos that show some behind the scenes of that. Talk us through that process and what the goal of that is.
Sure thing. So the behind the scenes for this is started off with just trying to get an idea for where Lockheed might come in, and that starts off with like just bringing in a little orb and doing the best that we can, and after that it becomes iteration after iteration until eventually we just end up getting to the polish pass, and the polish pass is what you end up seeing in game. And sometimes where we start and where we end up are nowhere in the same, and you just kind of roll with the punches.
Absolutely. That's so funny. Now, Chris, your team animated a literal dragon, which I think is so fascinating and amazing. What are some challenges that you face when creating the movements and maybe the modeling for animators to be able to bring Lockheed to life?
Oh man, well, first we have to lay out the skeleton for the creature itself. And since there's no literal dragon that exists in the real world, we kind of have to take reference from other animals out there, like birds and stuff like that. And luckily, there's other shows out there, I'm sure you know many, that have dragons that we can take reference from as well. But here, what you're looking at is the actual, all those little veins in the middle of the body are the joints themselves, the actual physical skeleton that dictates how the mesh, the 3D model itself gets deformed. So all those individual joints control a very small specific area of skin or geometry that actually gets deformed and moved around. So that's actually what you're seeing in game when you're animating, is all those joints moving around. And here you see all these little tiny controls around the body, and here we're actually manipulating those. Instead of having the animator select those individual joints, which can be a little hard to pick apart, we create these unique little controllers around the body that actually manipulate those. So kind of like a little constraint, if you will. And here you can see we could move the hand around, we can twist the fingers, make a fist, etc. And every part of that body has unique controls that allow for the animator to kind of just exercise whatever's in their mind. So here you're seeing a nice little tail control here that moves all the individual joints of the tail. And there's also has individual control of each individual tiny joint as well, instead of all at once.
Oh man, you must have to be so precise in that. Well, now that Kitty and Lockheed are available for Marvel Strike Force players everywhere, Marissa, how does it feel seeing them in game?
It's always really, really cool to see how everything kind of comes together as a team. Like, you start off with concept and we come at the end with VFX and audio. It's a huge team effort, and being able to see her come to life and have people just kind of take her in and be like, yeah, this is my character. I love seeing my character in game. And it really brings me a lot of happiness and a lot of joy to do stuff like this.
Same thing as Marissa, man. It's super humbling to be able to do what we do and to see our work put out there and people enjoying it. Not only that, but this is like kind of a childhood dream for a lot of us. You know, we get to work on all the characters that we grew up with. You know, Kitty Pryde, definitely, when you're part of the X-Men and all that, is the show that I grew up with in the 90s. So it's super humbling, super awesome.
Yes, I love it because you both are fans, and being able to create these characters into Marvel Strike Force is such like a fan dreams for so many people, and you're living it. Well, thank you so much, Marissa and Chris, for all that you've done and bringing these two characters to life into Marvel Strike Force. Well, we're going to go ahead and switch some gears, y'all, from creating Marvel characters in Marvel Strike Force to now creating Marvel cosplay in real life.